Hey y'all, Lisa Van Ness here, and I am joined by the one and only Brad Dowdy and an unknown person in the background who is going to help us recap the Baltimore Pen Show. We had a great weekend, and go ahead and talk about it.
Without a question, great weekend. If I can say after a long pen show weekend that I had fun is the first thing I want to tell you. It was a good weekend, right? So we had fun, right?
We did.
Like
That's
what
what
else?
Mike kept saying.
Yeah, it's like, this is only my second Baltimore show, and Bert Ozer, the promoter of the show, makes life easy for us as vendors, and I think for a lot of the attendees as well. Like, I show up for the show, I get my table assignment, and then I go through the weekend, and then I'm done, and I don't have to worry about anything. So we really appreciate the hard work of someone like Bert behind the scenes to make this easy for us.
It really helps that he's a vendor too. You
Yeah.
know, like Bertram Inkwell is a store. He's done this for a million years.
Yeah.
So
He knows, he travels to other shows, so he
Right.
knows what
He's
goes
like, I know how to
wrong,
make
so
this
I'm not
easy
going to
for
do
y'all.
that.
So I think that you and I were both here last year. I think there was a little bit different makeup in the visitors. Like I saw some more younger attendees than I remember seeing last year, but was that because we had a divided room last year, or?
We were in a very small room last year, so we got to see, hopefully everyone came through our room last year, but this year we got to see everybody, also because we were in the front of the room this year. So, I don't know.
I guess we should describe where we were in the room.
Yeah, so this is the first show that I've done that has been one gigantic room. We were talking about this earlier. I was trying to think of what other setups have one massive room. How many tables were in there? You knew the numbers, like right at 100? Yeah. It's like 105 in a singular large rectangular room. So I know you'll have pictures up, I'll have pictures up. And you still can't tell the scope of the room. But we were kind of in the front of the room off to the right, so yeah, it was just a good.
It had one entry, one exit that made everything.
Yeah.
Everybody had to go through every part of the show.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have to.
But it was good flow, wide aisles. Like, you don't think about those things. Like, it's boring for me to tell you, boy, this show was great because it had wide aisles. But when you have wide show aisles, it makes everyone else happy because
So we had
then they're not doing this the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We had LA 2 weeks ago, and the aisles were.
Yeah,
you weren't there, but it was
insanely narrow.
They were insanely narrow. It was not cool.
I was having panic attacks just looking at the pictures.
Oh, you couldn't have done it. I mean, you and Jonathan. I was telling y'all couldn't have done it. There's no way.
There's no way.
It was crazy. But they Bert leaves plenty of wide spaces for everybody to congregate and talk, as well as shop.
Yep.
So there's plenty of room, but it's not so roomy you feel like that you're gonna get lost in it either.
Yeah, we talk about, like, when I've worked your tables, how we get 3 and 4 deep at certain shows, and we can't help our customer can't get to the front, nor can we help the customer well. And this kind of alleviates that a little bit. They can spread out, work themselves around, and then we can get to them better at the same time.
And we're able to help educate too. I know that we had a lot of newbies who asked a lot of questions. And at this show, I felt like we had the opportunity to help people. Didn't you think so?
It's a much lower key show in that, without the constant, as a smaller show, there's not a constant pressing people backed up 5 or 6 deep at the table, and you're able to have a conversation with people, and other people have room to browse and to look.
Yeah, so I don't know if y'all saw it as much as I did, there was a ton of first-time attendees, like a ton. And at this show, which I wouldn't be able to do at every show, I was able to spend the time with those people, like you're saying. I would actually physically go walk them to the place where they were having a question. I said, here's how I can answer your question, and let me take you there.
Right.
And
it was a nice steady. There were times on Friday and Saturday both where it was too busy to do that, but overall there was an opportunity. And I know even today I had somebody wanting to learn how to use a converter, and I had time to show them how. I took a Safari apart and just showed them how to put that converter in.
I had 3 or 4 people come up to me today and tell me that this was their first fountain pen purchase.
Yep. Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
It's fantastic. And we talked about after your Philadelphia experience how we need to keep that very, very beginner level discussion going. Like, we sometimes forget after a while of doing this and going to, you know, different shows and feeling like, well, a lot of these people have been to shows now. Well, no, we've been to a lot of shows now. There's still first time people coming to this show, so we need to talk about that a lot.
And I did realize that like from the very first moment they enter, it is overwhelming for them.
Totally.
And so a show that has a nice flow, wide area, they don't probably, I mean, I can only guess they don't feel as overwhelmed. I can't imagine starting at DC or even in LA where it's like, it's just, like you said, 4 or 5 deep. I can't, like, they can't ask questions, they can't talk to anyone.
Now when people ask me for my recommendation on the first show they should attend, I normally say Philadelphia, Baltimore, or Atlanta.
Yeah, like it's the right size. It has the right range of retailers and vendors. It has the right amenities at the locations, being either the hotel amenities or the additional show amenities like classes and, you know, evening of scheduled events. And those are clearly the promoters that we like to work with the best, because they have the customer's best interests at heart, I think, as well as the vendors. I mean, we come at it from like, this is our business, right? You know, if they have our best interests at heart too, and the customer's best interests at heart, that makes it a good show. That's why we promote these shows that make our lives easier.
Right. And then you did an event Friday night. That was the first time you had led a panel discussion. So
Yeah.
what did you think of that, and how did that go? And
It was really cool. Like, Corinne approached me probably late last year saying, I have this idea. So like when a promoter comes to you, and Corinne Barr helps Bert put on the show. So Corinne says, I've got an idea. And I'm like, all right, I like where this is going. I mean, it could be awful, but I still like the idea. And she said, I want to do a panel discussion and I want you to moderate it. So my idea is to get these pen makers up in front of a room of people, and then I want you to MC it and like ask them questions and drive traffic and whatever. And that was insta yes. I didn't have to think about it, and I've never done anything like that before. Like, I can talk clearly, like I don't mind talking, but I've never had to like drive the traffic, even on like the podcast
like
that I do. Yeah, like on the podcast, like it's still fewer people that I have to weave something between. So I felt pretty confident with this group that we had that I could do that. So I was on board immediately, and it went really well. So it was Jonathan Brooks, Richard Greenwald, Mike Allen, Chet Herbert, and it was called the Makers Panel because all these guys make pens. So they had me just kind of lob questions out to them and let them run with it. The feedback was great. I thought they did a good job. Afterwards, they said that they felt it went well. So I would love to do more of that. That was a very unique thing for this show, and I appreciate the fact that they wanted to try something. Even, you know, maybe it wouldn't have worked, but they at least
some
tried.
things that worked that we weren't sure about before.
Sure.
You gotta keep trying.
So
do you feel like that there was a lot of newbies at that event that were, I'm calling them newbies if you're a fairly new user at First Pen Show?
Majority were. Like, we definitely had some faces that I've seen for years and a long time that have been in this business a long time. I'd say it was still probably 75% the newer
That's awesome.
crowd, because
Well, the rest of us were all still working.
it was a 6 o'clock event. The show closed at 6. Our
We
event was
still had
scheduled for
people,
6.
and so did, I think, Franklin Christoph, they said they had people till 10 till 7.
Yeah, so what I felt was interesting is that all of these guys who were on the panel are makers of pens, and what a lot of the newcomers to this whole fountain pen scene, they're getting into this kind of stuff that's not necessarily mass market or big brand or big company products. They can see and talk to the person that's making the thing that they're willing to commit a decent amount of money to, and that's pretty important to the type of consumer we have today, where it's not, hey, these are X amount of Parker releases we're going to have in 1972. and these are your choices. Well, now I can tell Jonathan Brooks to make me Space Magic dust, and like 3 months later, Space Magic dust shows up, and I get to have that conversation with someone like that. So getting that story more out there was good, and I think everyone felt that it went pretty well.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And then I know Saturday night I saw a lot of newbies and new people to the pen show community, because there was Carrie put on an event, Pen Shows After Dark. And I don't know how many you guys talked to, but several people were like, "This is my first event. I'm excited." And I know somebody even didn't know if they had permission to bring food.
Yeah.
The room was packed, standing room only.
We were, I know Joe and I so our friends sat near each other, and we were really impressed with not just the crowd, but like the openness. We had these huge, probably 8-foot round tables, and people were just throwing their stuff on it. We were all just like going at it, and hey, tell me about this, show me that, and I think we both thought it was pretty cool.
I think people have started looking forward to those kind of events, so they were like already excited. And I know I threw a pin out there at the beginning, and I didn't see it until it was over.
Right.
I just trusted everyone. It was a Visconti. I just threw
We
it
talk
out there.
about that all the time.
It had your ink in there, fire on fire, and I didn't see it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then at the end, somebody had it, and
Right.
I just trusted that. But it was, like somebody throw the first pin out, and I don't even know if you'd come in the room at the time. I think that was when you were coming in the room. I'm like, here, let's get it started.
And it was really relaxed. It was really relaxed and low key.
I honestly
there
thought
was
that
some
was one
really-
of the coolest things that we did all weekend, personally.
We even had, so the guys from Krishna Ink were here.
Yeah.
And they were so excited because they'd never been to a pen meetup, and they said they learned so much. They tried pens they never would have gotten to try. So that would be an example of some people who may not necessarily be new to pens, but they definitely were new to this kind of experience. And they were so excited to get to try so many pens that they never could have tried, even if they'd gone through every aisle all day.
Yeah, they
were all inked up.
They basically said, before we went in there, we were trying to explain it to them, and they basically said, wait, you do what?
Yes.
And that's how they took it. And then we actually did the what, and they were like, that was pretty cool.
I was starting to question it there for a little while, and then I was like, okay, no, this is you're gonna see it, because they had, they were like they were getting tired because the time schedule change had hit them. But they came out so excited and wanting to share that and do this in India.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, I think we can figure this out. We're going to do this kind of event there.
Yeah.
So that made me so excited. I didn't even get to tell you about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, wow, this may just not be here, but it can be a total another country. Not even.
Yeah.
It was just amazing that they were ready to. We want to do this there.
They were so open and so interested and asked so many questions, like really cool questions. It was great.
Yeah, and then there was also a lot of local new folks too that were excited to do these events because they'd seen what happens at night when we do the photos and the social media.
Yeah.
They were ready to just jump right in and try everything.
Yeah, I took a couple pictures of the bar Saturday night, and it was just tons of people. Like it was just heads everywhere. Like all the tables were filled, all the chairs were filled. LA?
Well, not just compared to LA. Actually, there was a group. So 5 years ago in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You would have had one table of people before you were a thing.
Yeah.
I can remember it was me, myself, and another female, and it was not people that we would fit in with, and it was like one group of them eating supper, and there was no pen talk, there was no paper thrown out.
No.
And then, for sure 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, the scene was changing completely, and now we see this where absolutely the whole bar had been taken over.
Totally.
So the space we were in for the party, everybody was having a great time, and they just carried it on after the door prizes, after it was over. They just brought it to the tables. There's now people that bring their own lamps. I don't know if y'all saw that.
I specifically took pictures of the lamps that I saw put
People
on
are
the
bringing
table.
their own lamps. Yes,
Yeah.
they had their own lamps at the long table. The DC Pen
Pull 'em up
Group
here.
had their own lamps that they brought specifically
Yep.
with the. It was just amazing. It was like, we're ready.
cool.
We're gonna.
It's amazing.
Because I'd grab
that's pretty cool if
I'd
you
grab a
think about-
pen and start going, it's dark bar light, and you try to figure out the color. Then someone reach over, then boom, out would come the lamp on the table.
You're like, this is amazing.
I was like, I'm in.
And I know you did Ohio back in the day. I mean,
5 years
know
ago.
how different that is than what we saw.
Night and day.
It's like not even the same kind of show.
Yeah.
I don't think.
So this is like the type of show that I want to support and that I want to attend, and like
Agreed.
I would just want to come to, even if I didn't have a table here for a knock or anything like that.
When I noticed too, I mean, a lot of the, even the older guard, a lot of the vintage dealers, everybody seemed like they were having a very good time.
Yes.
Totally.
There was a better energy in the room.
There was super positivity all the way around, no matter who it was, like all weekend, like from Thursday night when we got here, and we're recording this on Sunday night when most everyone's gone. It was consistent the whole time.
It was pretty awesome. So my rule's always been make some money or don't lose money and have fun. So we didn't lose money and we had fun. There is snow going on right now, but
Ask us tomorrow how much fun we're
We may
having.
not get home. But
well, I was gonna leave tonight and we decided to stay overnight tonight because it was sleeting when y'all were
When we're
helping us
packing
pack
up.
up.
Yeah, and then we're flying out tomorrow morning, so we'll have to see what the issues are. So we may rethink what our feelings are about the show, depending on if we get out
This
on
would
time
be the
tomorrow.
second year in a row for a storm. Like the first year I came, there wasn't a storm, but this is your second year, and
Yeah,
it's your second storm.
yeah. Well, I'm still behind you because you're 3 for 3 just in 2019 alone.
That's true.
You're at snow so
Right.
far, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Snow, snow, snow. I
So,
don't need any more of that.
What's your next show?
Arkansas.
Yeah,
It's going to be
forget
more
it.
likely to be tornado, which is not even funny
No.
because it really is going on right now.
Right. Yes,
'cause your
yes, it
family
was.
was
I was
under
affected
tornado.
this evening for a couple hours with home tornado warnings.
Even on the
severe
news, I saw it.
warnings.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's where he lives.
Yeah, so that was not fun, but everyone's okay.
We're used to the tornado
Yep.
chances,
Yeah.
which are far greater than the snow chances for the next show, even for Atlanta. Because I drove home from Atlanta 5 years ago in a tornado warning. Like it was, we were on the road already, and we're like, uh-oh, what do we do?
Yeah.
But anyway, this has been great.
I mean,
know.
like I said, it was super fun.
I love
And
having
it
it
was
in one
easy.
room.
I really love the one room thing. Like experiencing this, like I knew when they were setting it up, I was like, "Whoa, this is cool!" Like I really
And
like
Chicago's
that.
the closest we came before
Yes,
to a one room.
we were trying to figure it out, and that's pretty close.
And they just used the hallways, but
Yeah.
it still has that energy. Joe, have you been to one that's been?
in one room,
I can't. It's hard to think
not that
of
I can
one.
remember. I'm trying to think. I don't
San
think
Francisco, you haven't been to. In the first 2 years I did it, there was one room,
Yeah.
and they outgrew it.
so. Atlanta. I mean, maybe in the early years, Atlanta was in one room, but I think Atlanta's always been broken.
I think
up.
it was always 2 rooms, and then they added that 3rd room just in the
Yeah.
last.
It's 2 years, 3
So
years.
bringing in that positive vibe and energy, there's something about it that having the one room space where you can see everything and you can. I don't know. I mean, I can't identify, but it's pretty cool.
Well, it helps. Like when I was talking about helping out people who's their first pen show, I can say, see, that person over there
Yeah,
in
they're
the
over on
red
that wall.
shirt,
Yeah.
right? They're right there. Not go out the door, take a right, go down to the end, take a left, and then they're in the back corner.
Right. That's true.
So that's helpful, especially for people who've never done that before. So
It's true. Well, I feel like that we've talked a little bit about this show, and the next show that you'll be attending is the Atlanta show.
I'm Atlanta next.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's his home show, but it's my first independent pen show that I ever attended, and I'm super excited. I know you are too.
I am.
Look forward to it.
I love that show as much as I love this show.
Well, you should. It's like your home.
It's a good fun show.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys then. And anyway, I appreciate your time. and
Absolutely.
Visiting with me. But I'll see you guys in Arkansas in 2 weeks, March 15th through 17th. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.